At the beginning of the story, we see a man named Mikkelsen trapped among the icy rocks of the Arctic, waiting for help. He has been stuck here for several days. He also has a plane which has crashed. Mikkelsen was passing through this area with his companions when their plane crashed, and all his companions died, leaving him alone. That is why he is waiting for help here. He has a small machine that can connect with any nearby helicopter if its handle is turned. However, after trying many times, he can't establish contact because this is a place where no one ever comes. Above, where the ice is thinner, Mikkelsen has set up small traps to catch fish. He has caught many fish and survives by eating them. The next morning, he goes to a rock, where he turns on his machine again, but still can't make contact with anyone. We also see some stones here with which he talks. Actually, he has buried all his deceased companions here. Mikkelsen then returns to his plane and notices that the fish he had collected are now gone. He assumes there must be another survivor like him, but soon he notices polar bear tracks and realizes that a polar bear might attack him. So he runs and locks himself inside the plane. Now, another fear grips Mikkelsen, the danger of the polar bear, which is extremely dangerous. Before the video continues, I request you to subscribe to the channel and like the video, as 99% of viewers watch the video but do not subscribe or like. Please do subscribe and like the video. The next morning, Mikkelsen comes outside and sees stormy winds everywhere. Yet he takes his machine to the rock again, hoping to make contact with someone. When he turns the handle of the machine, a green light turns on, indicating that there is a helicopter nearby. However, due to the surrounding snow, he cannot see anything. Then he sees a helicopter in front of him. He lights a flare and the helicopter sees him. The helicopter starts coming toward him, but the helicopter gets caught in the storm and crashes. Mikkelsen runs to the helicopter and finds that the pilot is dead. But there is a girl who is badly injured. Mikkelsen breaks open the helicopter door and lays the girl down on it, as he wants to save her life. Mikkelsen drags the girl, struggling, and finally gets her to his plane. He gets her inside, where she regains consciousness. He tries to talk to her, but she doesn't know English, and Mikkelsen doesn't understand her language. Mikkelsen sees that she has a large wound on her stomach, which he stitches up. The girl soon loses consciousness again. Mikkelsen then writes her a note, saying he will return to her soon. He goes to the helicopter where the pilot's dead body is. He buries the pilot, placing stones on top, and then checks the helicopter, where he finds an Arctic map. With the help of this map, he realizes he can leave this place. He also finds some frozen noodles and a stove. For the past several days, Mikkelsen has been eating raw fish, but now with the stove, he can cook and eat. He finds a photo of the injured girl and the pilot with a little girl beside them. He realizes this is a family, and because of him, the pilot is dead. The pilot had brought the helicopter to rescue him, which caused the crash and the pilot's death. Mikkelsen feels deeply regretful. He takes all the supplies back to his plane, but then hears a sound outside. He goes to check the trap he set for fish and sees a big fish caught in it. He brings the fish back to the plane and starts cooking the noodles and fish. For the first time in 6 months, Mikkelsen finally eats cooked food. He also brings some food for the girl. Afterward, he checks the map from the helicopter and realizes that several kilometers away, there is a point where people come by helicopter and they can be rescued. He decides to take the girl and leave this place because the temperature is expected to drop to 40 to 50 degrees, and no one can survive in such extreme cold. Mikkelsen resolves to take the girl to the rescue point, even though the task is difficult. He catches many fish, takes some water, and leaves a note in the plane saying, "We were alive here, but now we are heading north." He packs the girl completely in a sleeping bag and places her on a plastic-like thing, dragging her as he begins the journey. Mikkelsen is now very weak, so his pace is slow, but he keeps talking to the girl. His only goal is to save her life because he feels responsible for her husband's death. Mikkelsen continues dragging her for several hours and checks the map. He realizes that they still have about 45 kilometers to go, and it will take him about 7 days to cover it. Given the slow pace on the snow, his strength is fading, and the biggest threat is the polar bear, which might be nearby. After walking the whole day, night falls, and he knows he needs to find a shelter to sleep in. As the temperature drops drastically at night, he digs a small hole in the ice and makes a tent to protect himself from the cold. He brings the girl inside where he makes food. Mikkelsen spends the whole night in the tent with the girl. The next morning, he starts his journey again, even more exhausted, but still determined to save the girl. He drags her slowly and eventually he faces a tall rock. He could climb it alone, but he cannot pull the girl up. He checks the map and realizes there is another way around the rock. But it will take an extra 4 or 5 days, and he doesn't have enough food to survive that long. So he decides to climb the rock and drag the girl up. Mikkelsen climbs the rock and starts pulling the girl up with a rope. Slowly, he pulls her, but suddenly the rope slips from his hands, and the girl falls back to where she was. Mikkelsen realizes that it is impossible to pull the girl up this way, so he brings all the supplies down. He understands that the only way to save the girl is to take the longer path. He starts the journey again along the longer route, dragging the girl, whose condition is now worse. Mikkelsen keeps moving slowly, despite the pain in his body, determined to save her life. As night falls, he needs to find shelter again. Because of the extreme cold and the threat of the polar bear, suddenly he finds a small tunnel between the rocks. He realizes that this is the polar bear's tunnel, but he has no other option than to go inside. Fortunately, the tunnel is empty. He takes the girl inside and makes food, but his gas supply runs out, meaning he can't cook anymore. As the days pass, Mikkelsen's difficulties increase. One day, while inside the cave, he hears something moving outside. He realizes it's a polar bear trying to enter. He lights the flare and throws it outside, causing the polar bear to run away. Mikkelsen spends the night in fear. The next morning, when he comes outside, the polar bear is gone. He drags the girl and continues moving. After several hours, a snowstorm hits. To shield themselves, he faces the sled with the girl lying on it, and he lies down beside her. After a while, when the storm clears, he realizes they are buried in snow. Mikkelsen checks the girl and sees blood coming from her mouth. Her wounds have become infected. He realizes that her survival is impossible because there is no movement in her body. He decides to leave her and continue alone. He places the family's photo with the girl and walks away with a heavy heart. However, as he moves a little further, he falls into a ditch and breaks his leg. Realizing his mistake, he feels guilty for leaving the girl behind. He now believes that he is alive because of her and feels that perhaps God wants him to save her life. Mikkelsen somehow ties his leg and drags himself back to the girl. When he reaches her, she has regained consciousness and asks for water. He gives her water and then starts dragging her again, slowly using a wooden support. It hurts him badly, but he is determined to save her life. After several days, they finally reach the rescue point. Mikkelsen cannot drag the girl up, so he goes up first to check. He is overjoyed to see a helicopter. He returns, drags the girl slowly, and they both reach the helicopter. Mikkelsen lights a flare, but the people in the helicopter don't see it. He removes his jacket and sets it on fire, but that doesn't help. He takes the girl out of the sleeping bag and shouts. Unfortunately, the helicopter flies away. Mikkelsen and the girl think these are their last moments. He apologizes to her, saying, "It was my fault that your husband died, and now you will die too." Suddenly, they hear the helicopter approaching. The rescue team has spotted them, and they are coming to save them. Mikkelsen, who had been stuck for months in the Arctic, finally made it out. He decided to save the girl when he saw her suffering, and because of his determination, both of them are rescued. The movie ends here, and Mikkelsen finally manages to escape the Arctic after months of survival. The lesson of this story is that if we try to do good, good things happen to us, just as Mikkelsen saved the girl, and in return, his life was saved too.